Good dag, everyone. Alright. I said I was going to do it. Cruella Braverman, sorry. Her statement yesterday that had everyone kicking off, even Tories. So, just to warn you, my reactions, if you haven't watched me before, my reactions are not as polite as, say, Fillmore House of a different bias, or Maximilian Robespierre, or Political X. I'm not as polite. Not at all. I am very willing to go and use the C word and call them fucking idiots. I don't give a fuck. This isn't to say I'm not intelligent. I am intelligent. I just get very angry. So, yeah, here we go. You've had your warning.
With permission, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Order! Let's just make clear from the beginning. This is a very serious statement on a serious matter that is affecting a lot of people, and the Home Secretary will be heard with dignity. Home Secretary.
Deputy Speaker seems to have more
Madam Deputy
authority
Speaker.
than the actual
With permission,
Speaker.
I would like to make a statement about asylum processing at Manston and the incident in Dover yesterday. At around 11:20 a.m. on Sunday, police were called to Western Jetfoil. Officers established that 2 to 3 incendiary devices had been thrown at the Home Office premises. The suspect was identified, quickly located at a nearby petrol station, and confirmed dead. The Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit attended to ensure there were no further threats. Kent Police are not currently treating this as a terrorist incident.
When you get Muslim people who are terrorists, who also have mental problems, they still call them terrorists, but you can't seem to do that about white people, apparently. The guy was, look, I'm sorry, but he was a terrorist. Whether or not he was mentally impaired, he went in there to cause terror, to get these people to fuck off out of his country. Yeah? Incited by assholes like this. So, no, I will call him a terrorist. And you can argue with me all you like.
Fortunately, there were only 2 minor injuries, but this is a shocking incident, and my thoughts are with all of those who are affected. Yeah. Madam Deputy Speaker, I have received regular updates from the police. While I understand the desire for answers, investigators must have the necessary space to work.
I can make everything nice with powder being dropped.
Yay!
Elevate your plate.
I know the whole House will join me in paying tribute to everyone involved in the response, including the emergency services, military, border force, immigration enforcement, and the asylum intake unit. Madam Deputy Speaker, my priority remains the safety and the well-being of our teams and contractors, as well as the people in our care. Several hundred migrants were relocated to Manston yesterday to ensure their safety. Western Jetfoil is now fully operational again.
If you were ensuring their safety, how did it happen in the first place?
I can also inform the House that my right honourable friend, the Minister for Immigration, visited the Manston site yesterday, and that I will visit shortly. My right honourable friend was reassured by the dedication of staff as they work to make this site safe and secure while suitable onward accommodation is found. As members will be aware, we need to meet our statutory duties around detention and also fulfil legal duties to provide accommodation for those who would otherwise be destitute. We also have a duty to the wider public to ensure that anyone who has entered our country illegally undergoes essential security checks and is not immediately free to wander around local communities with no fixed abode. When we face so many arrivals so quickly, it is practically impossible to procure over 1,000 beds at such short notice. Consequently, we have recently expanded the site and are working tirelessly to improve facilities. There are, of course, competing and heavy demands on housing stock, including for Ukrainians, Afghans, and social housing. We are negotiating with accommodation.
What are you doing about? Yeah, it's all well and good, which you didn't, but it's all well and good. But what's going on about these safe routes in France and other places in Europe? Where's the news on that? I didn't hear anything.
Accommodation providers. I continue to look at all available options to overcome the challenges we face with supply. This is an urgent matter, Madam Deputy Speaker, which I will continue to oversee personally. I will now turn to our immigration and asylum system more widely. Let me be clear. This is a global migration crisis. We have seen an unprecedented number of...
I don't know if you heard, but as soon as she said that, there was a in the background. It was just fantastic.
...attempts to illegally cross the channel in small boats. Some 40,000 people have crossed this year alone, more than double the number of arrivals by the same point last year.
This is not something that's partly your problem too.
Not only is it unnecessary, because many have come from another safe country,
Again. I don't like to disparage the French that much, but, I mean, you see it over here of, oh, the migrants, so we don't want them coming over. They have it in France, and it is even worse in certain areas. They don't feel welcome, they don't understand the language. Why do you think they're coming here?
It is lethally dangerous.
Fuck's sake.
We must stop it. It is
then
vital
set up
that
safe
we dismantle
routes.
The international crime gangs behind this phenomenon.
Then go after them, not the migrants, not the immigrants, not the refugees.
Cooperation with the French has stopped over 29,000 illegal crossings.
It has it?
Since the start of the year, twice as many as last year, and destroyed over 1,000 boats. And our UK-France Joint Intelligence Cell has dismantled 55 organised crime groups since it was established in 2020. The National Crime Agency is at the forefront of this fight. Indeed, NCA officers recently joined what is believed to be the biggest ever international operation targeting smuggling networks.
Did they see the result of it then?
This year has seen a surge in the number of Albanian arrivals, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Once again, we're back to Eastern Europeans being the enemy, which is funny considering we're supposed to be friendly with Eastern European nations, considering Russia. But no, this woman, this Home Secretary, just can't help but piss everyone off. From India to France, now probably the Albanians. It's the new villain, everybody.
Many of them,
Albanians.
I'm afraid to say, abusing our modern slavery laws.
So, people being, the confirmed reports of people in Albania being taken off the streets and sold into modern sex slavery is complete bullshit, is it? Confirmed reports.
We are working to ensure Albanian cases are processed. And
I would also like to reiterate, because I said this last night, Albania is not politically stable. It is a democracy, but it's a very turbulent one. It's not stable, and it's quite febrile over there. It's just we don't hear about it.
And individuals are removed as swiftly as possible, sometimes within days. The Rwanda partnership will further disrupt the business model of the
No,
smuggling
it
gangs
won't!
and deter migrants from putting their lives at risk.
It
I'm
won't!
committed to making that partnership work. Labour want to cancel it.
Yeah, of course we do, because it's fucking bullshit. Again, I'd say it's racist. She's pandering to the racists, but she herself is classist. It's classism. I got what I got went through the immigration system, and I don't want anyone else having it.
While we will continue to
Oh,
support
I don't want other people to benefit from the way my family benefited. Fucking bitch.
vulnerable via safe and legal routes, people coming here illegally.
What? Safe routes! Not only that, but the one or two that there are barely funded. I swear there was a report that turned around and said to one of them that they had to fund themselves. I was like, I haven't been able to find a confirmation report, so you have to go and find that out yourself. But what the fuck? And this classist whore seems to think that it is right to say, oh, just take the safe legal routes, otherwise we'll arrest you and send you to Rwanda. Which we probably won't because it'll be too expensive, but still.
From safe countries are not welcome and should not expect to stay.
They don't feel safe in France half the time, which is why they come here. Like a large part of the reason is because they know two languages. Their own language, largely an Islamic language, or, Eastern European, or a smattering of English. Not French, not Spanish, not German, not Italian. I mean, it might be for the Albanians, but English! In the Western world, it's it's like the second or third most widely spoken language, other than Mandarin and I think Spanish. French isn't. And I'm sorry, but we've seen the way that the French treat migrants.
Where it is necessary to
Not all French, but I've seen quite enough of the French treating migrants like shit.
change the law, we will not hesitate to do so. I share the sentiment that has been expressed by members from across the House who want to see cases in the UK dealt with swiftly. Our asylum transformation...
Then fund it properly. Staff it properly. Resource it properly.
...programme will help bring down the backlog. It is already having an impact. A pilot in Leeds reduced interview times by over a third and has seen productivity almost double. We are also determined to address the wholly unacceptable situation, which has left taxpayers with a bill of £6.8 million a day for hotel...
Your Rwanda flight was... hang on, I just want to double check this, right? How much was the Rwanda deal costing? So, for one trip, 120 million! And she's talking about 6 million a day. Like, and her flights would only be and he wouldn't. They're not even taking off. But even if they did take it off, they'd be taking at max 20 people at a time because of all the legal challenges, right? At max. So her Rwanda shit would cost way more by at least a factor of 20 to make up to, she's the equivalency bullshit here. I hate it.
Hotel accommodation. And let me set out to the House the situation that I found when I arrived as Home Secretary in September at the Home Office. I was
I didn't realise this yesterday when I had a quick listen, but when it was live. But is she actually putting a boot into Priti Patel here? The Tories. This is another case of Tory on Tory action.
Appalled to learn that there were over 35,000 migrants staying in hotel accommodation around the country at exorbitant cost to the taxpayer. I instigated an urgent review.
Exorbitant cost to the taxpayer? Yours and Priti's fucking Rwanda plan was more than that, you stupid bitch. Chucking money at the French without a plan of what to do with it costs more than than what you're paying to keep those refugees up. So fuck off. Oh, okay. Bloody adverts.
Home Secretary.
I pushed officials to identify accommodation options which would be more cost effective and delivered swiftly while meeting our legal obligations to migrants. I've held regular operational meetings with frontline officials and have been energetically seeking alternatives.
Have you? Or have you just been energetically trying to cover your own ass?
And there are many hurdles. I foresaw the concerns at Manston in September and deployed additional resource and personnel.
If that was the case, then why? And I'm not saying that the place was riddled in diphtheria, but where you have diphtheria and scabies and various other things going on, overcrowding, and then you've got this fucking, and I'm not trying to disparage the care that the people working there were trying to give, but under-resourced, underfunded, understaffed, and she still thinks she put more in. Obviously, you didn't put enough in.
To deliver a rapid increase in emergency accommodation. To be clear, like the majority of the British people, I am very concerned about hotels, but I have never blocked their usage. Indeed, since I took over,
I have to say, in relation to this, with hotels, I live in Torbay, okay? The Esplanade, I think it's the Esplanade, and another hotel have been taken up by migrants and refugees. A large portion of them are children. Yeah, you take a look on Facebook on stuff like Devon Live and stuff like that, and you see the vile nature. What are these people doing over there? Send them back. What the fuck? How about we send you over there to live the life they were living and then see how you like it? Oh no, because it doesn't affect you because you don't live there. Racists! She's feeding them. That's all she's doing. But her classism is really funny. Classism is feeding racism. Challenge me if you disagree.
People have arrived. 9,500 people have been transferred out of Manston or Western Jetfoil, many of them into hotels. And I've never ignored legal advice. As a former Attorney General, I know the importance...
You never ignored legal advice. Then what was the bullshit with you sending shit via email? And personal messaging? You lying bitch.
Of taking legal advice into account.
And no, I'm not scared of calling, they can sue me all they want. I don't have anything. So they can fucking do one.
At every point, Madam Deputy Speaker, I have worked hard to find alternative accommodation to relieve the pressure.
At every point, you've worked hard to make sure that you can have your job or get your job back. And cover your ass, which you're not doing very well, by the way.
At Manston. What I have refused to do is to prematurely release thousands of people into local communities without having anywhere for them to stay. That is not just the wrong thing to do, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Then set up places for them to stay. I said this last night in my other video on the Great Debate about infrastructure. If they set up infrastructure, I guess, but at this point it's going to take time. But my point is still valid. You set up the infrastructure to take these people in, or send them back as need be. But you need the infrastructure, and we just don't have it. We're using hotels and random places because no one bothered.
Be the worst thing to do for the local community.
And that's possibly even the last Labour government too. No one bothered to set up the infrastructure.
Community in Kent, for the safety of those under our care and for the integrity of our borders. The government is resolute in our determination to make illegal entry to the UK unviable.
I said last night about absolutes. I don't believe in them because, especially in this context, this doesn't happen. Everything has to be looked at as a scale. If you're going to be Home Secretary, you can't be absolute. You have to be able to accept you can't stop all of them. But working to stop the majority of them, not just half, is a worthy goal even so. But making an absolute is where you hang yourself politically.
It is unnecessary, lethally dangerous, unfair on...
If it's unnecessary, then why aren't they going through these supposed legal routes?
Migrants who play by the rules, and unfair on the law-abiding, patriotic...
Oh, what, like your family? Like the very few that are able to get through through legal routes these days?
Majority of British people. It is also ruinously expensive, and it makes all of us less safe. Madam Deputy Speaker, as Home Secretary, I have a plan to bring about the change.
I have a cunning plan.
That is so urgently
If you get
needed
that reference, you're
to
great.
deliver an immigration system that works in the interests of the British people. And I commend this statement to the House.
Utter bullshit. Once again, advert. Apologies. Oh.
Shadow Home Secretary Yvette Cooper.
Hey, here we go.
Thank you, Madam Deputy
Cruella's about to get her arse torn out.
Speaker, and I thank the Home Secretary for her statement. Yesterday's petrol bomb attack on the Western Jet Fuel Centre was truly appalling. I'm sure the whole House will condemn it in the strongest possible terms. And I echo the Home Secretary's tribute to the emergency services and Border Force staff who responded. But I must ask her, can she tell me whether counter-terror police and counter-extremism units are involved in the investigation? It doesn't make sense for them not to be. Why her?
Because, as she said, they're not classing it as terrorism because they don't want to piss the racists off.
Are they not? Turning to the dreadful conditions at Manston, 4,000 people are now on a site designed to accommodate 1,600 people, with some families there for weeks. Conditions that have been described as inhumane, with risks of fire, disorder and infection. There are confirmed diphtheria outbreaks, reports of scabies and MRSA outbreaks, also reports of outbreaks of violence and untrained staff. She said nothing about what she would...
Untrained staff. I suppose I can't really kick off about that. The reason I say that is at some level you're going to have volunteers who are untrained, so to speak, who just want to help. So I suppose I can't really kick off there.
Was doing to address those immediate public health crises and also the issues for untrained staff. Behind these are deeper failures in the government's policies on asylum and channel crossings. Decision making has collapsed. The Home Office took just 14,000 initial asylum decisions in the last 12 months compared to 28,000 6 years ago. 96%.
So within 6 years, it's dropped off by 50%.
Of the small boat arrivals last year have still not had a decision, and initial decisions alone are taking more than 400 days on this Conservative government's watch. Can she confirm that the Nationalities Borders Bill and changes to immigration rules have in fact added further bureaucracy and delays, leading to
More
tens
Brexit
of thousands more people...
Here we go. Brexit. This is quite sly from Labour. They're not going to say that this is Brexit, but the Immigration Borders Bill is all because of Brexit. So what Labour is slyly doing here, without saying it is Brexit, is saying it's Brexit. If you can see it, I'll point. Let me know.
Waiting in asylum.
Hear it. I know I'm not showing it on. Like I said, I haven't got the right program at the moment. But if you can hear, if you just heard that, that was Labour. That was Labour saying that it's Brexit.
Accommodation and more than £100 million extra on asylum accommodation bills because their policies are pushing up the use of hotels and the increase in delays. There's also been a total...
Sorry, on a side note, just as their policies are pushing up the use in food banks and warm banks.
Failure to prevent a huge proliferation of gangs in the Channel. Why has the Home Secretary refused our calls for a major new National Crime Agency unit with hundreds of additional specialist officers to work with Europol and others to crack down?
Right. So many times I hear, what's Labour going to do about it? What's Labour going to do about it? What's Labour going to fucking do about it? Well, there you go. Pretty damn good idea there, don't you fucking think? Pretty sound idea. Set up a specific team. Specifically for this problem. It's why I liked... It might sound bureaucratic, but it's why I actually liked when Starmer said at conference about a council, a council or like a round table of people specifically supposed to deal with the cost of living crisis or specifically to deal with the sewage. Stuff like that. Yeah? Rather than just one minister and top-down approach. Because obviously that is not working.
Down on the gangs, as well as the urgent work needed with France to get a proper agreement in place. And can she also confirm on the Rwanda plan that she has spent an extra £20 million on top of the £120 million already spent on a policy that she has herself described as failing and that her officials have described as unenforceable and with a high risk of fraud. And isn't it now time to drop this unethical and unworkable scheme and put the money into tackling the backlogs and tackling the criminal
Fucking right,
gangs instead? And let me
Last
ask her
time,
about her
response.
own
wrong.
decisions, which are there are very serious allegations now being reported that the Home Secretary was warned by officials and other ministers she was acting outside the law by failing to provide alternative accommodation. Can she confirm that she turned down contingency plans that she was offered that would have reduced overcrowding, as the reports say? There are also legal obligations, including under the 1999 Act and the 2018 regulations. Can she confirm she was advised repeatedly that she was
This is someone who actually sounds like they know what they're talking about when it comes to stuff to do with being Home Secretary. She sounds like a Home Secretary.
breaking the law?
And that's not just my bias either. I yes, there is some bias in that. But even when I step back and look at it and listen to it objectively, she sounds more of the of professional Home Secretary.
By failing to agree to these plans. One of these meetings on Manston was on the 19th of October. Can she confirm she refused these proposals on that date? It was the same day that she broke sections 2.3 and sections 1.4 of the Ministerial Code. So can she confirm, or can she tell us whether in fact she breached the...
This is where last night I had a problem with Natalie Elphick saying on the Great Debate towards the end, all Labour wanted to do was have a go at the Home Secretary about the Ministerial Code. No, if you pay attention here, she spent most of her speech so far not talking about that, and has only just moved on to that tangent.
The Ministerial Code.
So once again, Natalie Elphick, you're a bullshitting liar.
Which provides for ministers abiding by the law. Did she breach the Ministerial Code 3 times in a single day? And how is anyone supposed to have confidence in her as a Home Secretary with these serious issues? She referred in her statement to security checks. These are very important, but her statement is undermined by her own disregard for security. Her letter today makes clear that the incident over which she resigned was not a one-off, and contrary to her previous claims to have reported the breach rapidly as soon as she realised, she instead had to be challenged several times by one of her colleagues. She has also not answered the crucial questions about security breaches while she was Attorney General. Can she tell us whether she was involved in a leak to the Telegraph reported in...
If you go back and watch this, again, I'm sorry you can't see it, but pardon me. If you go back and watch this, you will see that whilst the Shadow Home Secretary is talking, the Home Secretary is just pulling faces up. Fuck it. I just got fucking tick. Oh well. Arrogant bitch.
The Telegraph on the 21st of January about information about Attorney General action on a case involving the security service. Has she sent any other government documents by WhatsApp, Telegram or other social media? And given that it's been less than a week since she was reappointed and less than a fortnight since she was first forced to resign for breaching the Ministerial Code, and every day since her reappointment there have been more stories about possible security or Ministerial Code breaches, how is anybody supposed to have confidence in her, given the serious responsibilities of the Home Secretary to stand up for our national security, for security standards and for public safety? The Prime Minister promised that this would be a government of integrity, of professionalism and of accountability. Isn't the Home Secretary letting everyone down and failing on all of these counts?
And then you'll get Braverman get up going, it's a Labour Party playing politics.
Speaker.
Really?
To pick up on some of the specific points that the Honourable Lady mentions, I'm not going to comment on any details relating to this specific case or the individual are under consideration. But there has been clear work afoot with the NCA and all partners to try and tackle the problem of illegal migration. I'm very encouraged by the relationship that we have built with the French, and I'm grateful to the French authorities for their real commitment and work on tackling.
That's really quite funny. So on one hand, you'll say, oh yeah, the French are great, but on the other hand, you'll say, oh no, the French are not doing enough. Make your fucking mind up.
This problem, but it's absolutely clear.
I suppose they aren't actually mutually unintelligible.
That, as I made clear in my statement, that on no occasion did I block hotels or veto advice to procure.
And where did the stories come from, Cruella?
Extra and emergency accommodation. Actually, the data and the facts are that on my watch, since the 6th of September, over 30 new hotels were agreed, which would provide over 4,500 additional hotel bed spaces, which will be brought into use. Since the start of October, over 13 new hotels will provide over 1,800 additional hotel bed spaces. So, and also since the 6th of September, 9,000 migrants have left Manston, many of them heading towards hotel accommodation. Those are the facts. I encourage the Right Honourable Lady to stick to the facts and not fantasy.
That's a bit brave coming from Little Miss Liar.
Madam Deputy Speaker, however, she raises some other points, and I would just like to say this, that my letter to the Home Affairs Select Committee sent today addresses all of the matters that she has just raised transparently and comprehensively. I've been clear.
Transparently. Yeah, you were so transparent that one of your colleagues had to say to you more than once that you this isn't right. So, yeah, transparent my fucking ass.
That I made an error of judgment. I apologise for that error.
An error in judgment. It's like with the Tory party. If you apologise, it's all fine. It's not all fine. You broke ministerial code, you fucking idiot. But this is something that apparently can just be ignored. Right, okay, whatever.
Error. I took responsibility for it and I resigned. But Madam Deputy,
You should have carried on taking responsibility and said no when Rishi Sunak asked you to come back. Or did he not ask you to come back and you went, I want my job back because I don't want to take responsibility because I don't think I did anything wrong.
Speaker,
Does the House want to hear what the Home Secretary has
No.
to say? Home
Fucking
Secretary,
advert. Well, at least the advert's fucking, interrupting, Cruella Braverman for a change. He still is something.
I apologise for the error. I took responsibility, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I resigned for the error. But let's be clear about
You
what's
were
really
forced to resign.
going on here, Madam Deputy Speaker. The British people deserve to know which party is serious about...
Right. You might have just heard it starting then. Listen to the outbreak and laughter. Ready?
stopping the invasion on our southern coast.
Invasion? I smoke weed, right? She looks wrecked whilst I've got her paused while she's saying that.
And which party
She
is
actually looks off her face while saying that.
not? Some 40,000 people have arrived on the south coast this year alone.
They're not the enemy. The majority of these people are in a very sensitive position. They are vulnerable people, not the enemy.
Many of them facilitated by criminal gangs, some of them actual members of criminal gangs.
By the minority!
So let's stop pretending that they are all refugees in distress.
No, but by the way you're fucking saying it, Cruella de Vil, you're saying it as if most of them are part of the criminal gangs and only some of them are refugees. The way you say it, it's not just what you are saying, it's the way you are saying it, and that is what's feeding the fucking racists. You classist asshole.
The whole country knows that that is not true.
Oh.
And it's only the honourable members opposite who pretend otherwise. Madam Deputy Speaker.
I swear, listening to Cruella gives me cognitive dissonance. My brain doesn't like it.
We need to be straight with the public. The system is...
I don't like it when I'm told a direct lie. And I know it's one. Ah!
broken. Illegal migration.
Broken under whom? You fucking Tory. Again, the laughter is just great.
Illegal migration is out of control, and too many...
Under whose watch?
People are more interested in playing political parlour games.
Again, I just want to add here, I just want to reiterate here, right? If you remember what the Shadow Home Secretary was saying, her speech, she started off with what happened yesterday, day before even, and with the subsequent things. Then she went on to the party political. Country first, party second. She actually did that. Labour, if you listen carefully to the Shadow Home Secretary talk, she doesn't go into the party political stuff until after she's dealt with the actual emergency. So who's the one being party political?
Covering up the truth, then...
It's like she's learning from the Russians. Tell everyone that your opposition is doing what you're doing to detract from the fact that you're doing what you're saying they're doing. The false flag operations. It's what it is. I wonder if she took some actual lessons from a Russian diplomat.
Solving the problem. I, Madam Deputy Speaker, am utterly serious about ending the scourge of...
I am utterly serious. Are you fucking really?
Illegal migration, and I am determined to do whatever it...
Right. Again, it's a shame that I can't show you. But I'll put the link up for it to the video I'm watching. If you get to this bit, right, and it's 18 minutes and 53 seconds in, right? You see where, like, basically the camera angle is looking at Braverman, but as if it's from, like, this side of the speaker, of the deputy speaker, and looking down, and you can see where they come in, the main door, right? And I think it's the Tory. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I can see Labour dude there for definite, but there's at least one dude, and he's like, he just stood there like that. Because he cannot believe the bullshit she's coming out with.
Takes to break the criminal gangs and fix our hopelessly lax asylum system. That, Madam Deputy Speaker, is why I am in government.
Is
and
it?
that is why there are some people who would prefer to be rid of me. Well,
The majority of people, not some, the majority of people want you gone. Have a bit of TCHT there, you fucking bitch. And again, I've heard this argument, if you swear, you sound less intelligent. I don't care. I know how intelligent I am, and that's not just arrogant. That's not arrogance. I know how intelligent I am. So, why should I care? I have a good enough vocabulary either way. It helps to accentuate what I'm feeling.
Order! I should just point out that I can hear who's making the noise, and it'll be a long time before they're called to ask a question. Secretary of State.
Madam Deputy Speaker, let them try.
Let them try what?
I know that I speak for the decent, law-abiding, patriotic
No, you don't.
majority of British people from every background that want safe
I'm sorry.
and secure.
I'm from a pagan background with a spiritualist mum. I was brought up under monotheism. Under monotheism, you know, the subculture I was under wasn't Christian. It wasn't monotheistic, so I don't know what you're fucking talking about. You don't speak for me. You don't speak for my background, you bitch. How fucking dare you? Ooh. I hate her. It's a strong word, I know, but I hate her. She does not speak for me. In fact, when it comes to pagans in Britain, I hear no representation in Parliament. How about some of that?
Borders.
So she doesn't represent me. She doesn't represent most pagans. Just talking from a pagan perspective.
Labour is running scared that this party might just deliver them.
We're scared that you're going to deliver the sort of stuff you'd see out of a dictatorship. Fuck's sake. Oh, she looks so tough with herself. And she sat down. Big smile on her face. She's like, ha, take that, Labour. Ha. Childish. As she was Attorney General. I love it, right? One of the things I've been hearing is, oh, she's experienced because she was Attorney General. That doesn't make her experienced. That meant she was in a job. She was also in a job she was not meant to be in. She is childish. Fucking childish. Shit, her face is that of, take that, Labour. Huh? If you're a woman, how do you not want to kick her in the fucking teeth? In her big fat nose?
Sir Roger Gale.
I told you, just been making some sense
will you allow me
recently.
first to express my condolences to the families of those affected by the incident at Dover, and particularly the family of the man who was responsible, who had very severe mental health difficulties. I think our thoughts ought to be with all of them. And Madam Deputy Speaker, can I also thank my right honourable...
Again, he might have had severe mental health difficulties, but what fed his paranoia? I'll tell you exactly what it was. The incendiary bullshit from the right. If you can tell me it wasn't, then I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself.
friend, the Minister of State, for taking the trouble and the time to come yesterday to see the facilities at Manston for himself and to greatly understand the problems that we've been facing. And can I thank the staff at Manston for the incredible dedication that they've been showing under very difficult circumstances. They are doing a superb job, and I hope everybody understands that. Madam Deputy Speaker, the facility at Manston, the asylum processing facility, was opened in January to take 1,500 people and to process them daily in not more than 48 hours, but mainly in 24 hours. That facility operated absolutely magnificently and very efficiently indeed until 5 weeks ago, when I'm afraid the Home Secretary took the policy decision not to commission further accommodation. And it is that that has led to the crisis at Manston. Will my right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, now give the House an assurance, first, that the adequate accommodation will be provided to enable the Manston facility to return to its previous work? Will she honour the undertaking given by the Right Honourable Lady, the Member for Witham, and my honourable friend, the Member for Corby, who have indicated that this would be a temporary facility handling only 1,500 people per day, and that it would not be a permanent residence? And will she give a further undertaking that under no circumstances will Manston be turned into a permanent refugee camp?
Yeah. I mean, it's not what we want. We don't need a refugee camp. These problems can be
Well, I
dealt
thank my
with.
honourable friend for his commitment to safeguarding the people who are at Manston and representing his local constituents in the area. And I was very pleased to meet with him a few weeks ago to hear from him about the situation at Manston. As I said, I just must gently correct him, however. On no occasion have I blocked the procurement of hotels
I don't believe you.
or alternative accommodation
He doesn't believe
to ease the pressure on Manston. I'm afraid that
Roger
simply
Gale.
isn't true.
Again,
And
watch it if you want.
I'll repeat
But
it again, but since
don't
September
fucking say
the
he
6th,
wasn't fucking shaking
when I
his
was
head at that.
appointed, over
Doesn't believe you,
30
love.
new hotels have been agreed to. They would provide over 4,500 additional hotel bed spaces, many of those available to the people in Manston. Also, since the 6th of September, over 9,000 people have left Manston, many of those heading towards hotels. So on no occasion have I blocked the use of hotels. And I would just gently refer members of the House who seem to be labouring under that misapprehension to the Home Affairs Select Committee session last week, where officials and the various frontline professionals who've been working with me on this issue confirm that we've been working energetically to procure alternative accommodation urgently for several weeks now. There are procedural and resource difficulties and challenges in doing that quickly. I would very much like to get alternative accommodation delivered more quickly, but we are working at pace to deliver contingency accommodation to deal with this acute problem.
Stuart MacDonald.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I thank the Home Secretary for her statement, and I join the whole House in condemning the frightening attack at Western Jetfoil, in sending our sympathy to all those who were impacted, and indeed our thanks to all who responded so professionally. But, Madam Speaker, responsibility for the disaster and dysfunction at Manston and the unlawful detention conditions there lies squarely with the Home Secretary herself and her predecessors. She and they knew what was happening, including the numbers arriving, and she was provided with advice that, by all accounts, she did not act on. Now, she's very carefully said that she did not block hotel use, but did she at any point avoid supporting new procurement? And if not, why is it that we heard that her successor, or predecessor, depending on which way you look at it, had to intervene? Ultimately, Madam Speaker, what was a functioning facility in the summer is now totally unsafe, and that was on her watch. Looking to the future, what now? Unfortunately, the Home Secretary offers only the same old failed sound bites, discredited policies and nasty rhetoric. What we need is an expansion of safe legal routes, at a minimum reversing the loss of the routes under the Dublin Convention. Instead of £120 million in our disgraceful Rwanda dream, that could have trebled the number of asylum caseworkers working to clear the backlog. And why not fast-forward claims, for example, from the 16,000 Syrians and Afghans, half of whom have been waiting for over 6 months. Make decisions on their cases quickly. 95% and more will get asylum. They can move on and we can free up accommodation. And Speaker, on her letter today, last week the Home Secretary resigned, claiming she accepted responsibility. But the facts suggest that she tried to dodge it but got caught. Why else did she find time to request the accidental email?
Listen how even the SNP dude started off with what happened at Mansard and then moved on to the party political stuff.
Email recipient was to delete and forget.
Country first,
Yet only notified
second.
senior officials and the Prime Minister after being confronted.
Look who's displaying that attitude.
Ultimately, how can one so-called misjudgment last week be a resignation offence, and yet she can stay this week after admitting 6 of the very same misjudgments? She said no documents were top secret, but how many were marked official and sensitive? Did she do similar?
Note what you said there. I know that they weren't top secret, but how many were sensitive?
As Attorney General,
Note
how
that bit.
do we know? Madam Speaker, her return so quickly after an admitted ministerial code breach is a farce. It reflects poorly on her and poorly on the Prime Minister. Both should think again so that someone else can get on with the real work.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I refer the honourable gentleman to the letter that I sent today to the Chairman of the Home Affairs Select Committee. I've been upfront about the details of my diary on the 19th of October, cooperative with any review that's taken place. I've apologised, I've taken responsibility, and that's why I resigned.
You should
I
continue
hope the
taking
House will
responsibility.
see that I'm willing to apologise without hesitation for what I've done and any mistakes.
Just saying sorry isn't enough. I'm sorry, no.
That I've made. But what I will not do, under any circumstances, is apologise for things that I haven't done. It's been said that I sent a top secret document.
Right, do you remember? Right, remember what I said to remember? The SNP guy said specifically that he knows it wasn't top secret. But what about official and sensitive?
That's wrong. It's been said that I sent a document about cybersecurity. It's wrong. It's been said that I sent a document about the intelligence agencies that would compromise national security. And it's wrong. 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 Madam...
Wrong. 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 Did she take a lesson off of Liz Truss here?
Deputy Speaker, what is wrong is that...
Wrong. Wrong. It's going to be our word of the week. Wrong.
...is that without compunction, these
Cruella de Vil's word of the week. Wrong.
...have been repeated as facts by politicians and journalists.
And it's not just wrong, it's literally wrong.
And I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to clarify the record today.
Natalie Elphick.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I'd like to put on record my thanks to all of the first responders to the horrific incidents that happened at Dover yesterday. Constituents working at the Dover facility have raised concerns about the current safety at the site. Does my right honourable friend agree with me that this type of facility has no place in a busy open port like Dover? And can she look at moving it to a more appropriate, secure location immediately? And does she also agree that we can...
What was that? Move the grubby migrants out of sight, please. That's what I heard.
Cannot keep doing more of the same, paying millions of pounds to the French, but seeing ever-increasing numbers of illegal arrivals. It is now time for a new approach of the French to stop the boats leaving the French beaches, a joint channel security zone to tackle...
Sort of like what Labour was saying, Natalie fucking Elphick.
Tackle this issue and bring an end to this illegal
immigration
activity once and for all.
That was not intelligent. I'm sorry.
Well, I want to thank my honourable friend for her indefatigable campaigning on this issue, and I've been very grateful to her for her direct input on this issue. This is incredibly difficult. I don't want to sugarcoat the problem. There are incredibly multifaceted challenges that we have to deal with. And when it comes to Manston, like her, I'm very concerned about the conditions, and I have been so for several weeks. That's why I've taken urgent action to stand up an operational team to to increase the emergency accommodation on the site on a temporary and emergency basis. I was not.
Natalie doesn't look impressed. Evidently, it didn't happen.
Willing to release hundreds of migrants into the local community. I won't.
So you'd rather let them live in squalor. That's what I'm hearing.
Do that, I will do everything I can to find cost-effective and practical alternatives. We need to find.
You're not coming up with practical alternatives. You come up with incendiary alternatives. You bitch.
Many more sites for accommodation and beds. We are looking at all instances, whether that is hotels, whether that's land owned by other agencies, for example, MOD or other government departments, looking at other dispersal around the country. We have to look exhaustively, but it isn't easy.
Just excuses. I hate excuses. Fuck off.
Dame Diana Johnson.
Deputy Speaker, can I welcome the Home Secretary to her place? And I look forward to her attending at the Home Affairs Select Committee on the 23rd of November, as we haven't seen a Home Secretary since February of this year. The Home Affairs Select Committee heard evidence last week that Manston was at breaking point. We were also told by the Home Office's Director General for Customer Services that 3 hotels were approved 1 week ago when the Right Honourable Member for Welling Hatfield was the then Home Secretary. So can this Home Secretary confirm exactly how many hotels or alternative accommodation options she was personally invited by her officials to approve for use during her first tenure as Home Secretary, and how many hotels or alternative accommodation options she actually did grant approval and permission for during her time. And finally, perhaps the Home Secretary might wish to join the Home Affairs Select Committee when we visit Manston again for the second time this week.
Well, I read with interest the session that the Honourable Lady conducted last week at her Select Committee, and I just want to put on record my immense thanks to the officials. The officials that you had evidence from are brilliant and simply the best in the business, and they work day in, day out to try and get the best service. And I note from questions 67 to 78 approximately, there was a lot of discussion about my involvement and my grip of the situation. And I encourage all members to read that section of the transcript, which confirms on the record by officials with whom I've been working directly that there has been active procurement of hotels. There's been a huge amount of work which has been done. How many? I will repeat myself again. Since the 6th of September, over 30 new hotels have been
30, that's not a definite amount, is it?
Over 4,500 additional hotel bed spaces. That's been under my watch. That's been when I've been in charge of the Home Office. And I'm very grateful to all those officials. And I must put on record my thanks to the now departed Minister Purseglove, who has been instrumental in assisting in dealing with this problem.
Craig McKinley.
My right honourable friend mentioned Albanians in her statement. I hear that 2/3 of those at Manston are Albanians. Does she have an absolute figure for that? But is my right honourable friend aware that in Germany and Sweden, that work to the same immigration accords as we do, they allow 0 applicants?
I'm sorry, Sweden, the ones who have turned towards the right and have gone really anti-immigration. Those Swedish.
Surely it stands to reason that an EU applicant country, a NATO country, a country that's in the Council of Europe and is patently not a war zone.
Now, and it completely ignores the political instability in Albania. they're trying to say Albania is a great place. Why didn't you just stay at home? Well, if it's that great a place, they'd stay there. Fucking
We should
dick.
not be accepting refugee status and claims from such a country. What is she going to do about that aspect of this problem?
How about you actually look at the actual facts and figures, dickhead?
Well, my honourable friend.
And now he's also going to get some confirmation bias from the dickhead down at the dispatch box.
A very important feature which has emerged over the last 6 to 9 months about the prominence of Albanian migrants arriving on our shores. And he's right. Albania is not a war-torn country. And it is very difficult to see how claims for asylum really can be legitimate claims for asylum. I would also note that we see a large number of Albanian migrants arriving here and claiming to be victims of modern slavery.
Which are various confirmed accounts of. Various claims. Various more, so at least more than 20 of these claims have been verified, and yet she wants to class it off as if the Albanians coming over here that were being pushed through through sexual slavery. This fucking asshole is saying, nope, you're all liars. Yep, that's what she's saying. I don't like to be absolutist, but that's what she's saying. Because she's an arrogant, ignorant bitch. Again, like, Albania is not Serbia, but it's not politically stable either. People over there are not living the great life.
I really am circumspect of those claims because Albania, of course, is a signatory to the European Convention Against Trafficking, the original convention that underlies...
It might be. But it's still pretty corrupt over there.
Our modern slavery laws. And actually, if those people are genuinely modern slavery victims, they should be claiming that protection in Albania.
If they could, they fucking would. Obviously, they can't. So they're not.
Diane Abbott.
It's not that black and white, I get that, but still.
Be aware that one of the problems with the asylum system is the unacceptably long time it takes to process claims.
Exactly.
The Home Affairs Select Committee took evidence from the Independent Chief Inspector of Borders and Immigration, and he told us that currently caseworkers, decision makers, are making 1.3 decisions a week.
What are they doing for the rest of the week? I'm gonna piss up.
The Leeds pilot, which is...
How many people have they got working on with just one person? What's going on here? What?
Referred to has put the number of decisions up to 2.7 decisions.
We should be talking about 15, 20 decisions per day, if not more. And that's the least amount I'm talking. What? And yet, the Tories will go, oh, we have a broken system. Who broke it?
A week. Doesn't the Home Secretary understand that this is far too slow? And what is she going to do about it? And isn't it the case that if she spent less time playing to the gallery on immigration and more time dealing with the practical problems, this would be to the benefit of the taxpayer, the Home Office staff that work so hard, and to the asylum seekers themselves?
And it's not often I say this, Madam Deputy, but I do actually agree with a lot of what the Right Honourable Lady has just said. She is right.
What's a shock?
And when I arrived at the Home Office in September,
You didn't have to.
I was very dismayed to find.
She's so childish. Whilst she was saying that, and the entire time she was being derogatory about it. It's the way she was saying it, her body language. It was just,
That, as was set out at the Select Committee last week, only 4% of
every
those
word and
claims
every
waiting
move she
in the
makes is
system
an
have been
insult.
processed so far. So we have a very slow-moving system. That is unacceptable, and that is a big part of the problem. And part of our plan to solve the problem is to speed up asylum processing.
How?
We're putting more resources behind it. We're putting more technology behind it. We're trying to identify how we can be more efficient. But yes, it's a big feature which is clogging up the system.
That's what she's doing, by the way.
And we see the pressure playing out at Manston.
Lawson.
Clearly, the situation at Manston's become unsustainable because of the record numbers coming across the channel. 40,000, and November last year was the highest month, so we haven't seen the end of it. And of course, as my honourable friend from Planet South has said, a record number of Albanians, 12,000, up from just 50 2 years ago. So following on from his question, what exactly is the arrangement with the Albanian government about returns? What arrangements is she looking at to fast-track Albanians, potentially in separate processing centres, helped by those Albanian officials we've allowed to come here to assist? How many Albanians have so far been returned in the last 12 months? How many of those Albanians have taken voluntary return payments to return? And of those, how many of them have actually come back to the UK again?
Well, again,
It's not an emergency.
my right honourable friend is right to mention the returns agreement, and we really want to maximise the deployment of the terms of that agreement. I think that's a brilliant starting point for trying to
what the
accelerate
details were of
some
the
of
agreement,
the processing and ultimately the removals of Albanian nationals. Albanian nationals are received in the same way as other small boat arrivals, and however, due to the excellent relationship built with my Albanian counterpart, we are able to expedite removal of Albanians who have no reason to be in the UK. We want to maximise that, we want to push forward with that and faster.
Alistair Carmichael.
Thank you.
If anyone watches this, like Max or Political X or anyone like that, Big Madge, could someone take a deep dive into this Albanian matter for me? Because something, like I said, it's not, what I know is that right now and for the last few years, Albania has not been politically stable. But that's as much as I can get. So if anyone else can do more on this subject, please.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I'd like to read to the Home Secretary a text message that a colleague of mine received this afternoon from an immigration expert. He says, just had a call with Ukraine.
Remember what he just said. A text message from an immigration expert.
That has reduced our team to tears. People are facing losing their lives in Kyiv or watching their children freeze in the countryside purely because of delays in processing their visas. UK Home Office, paper pushing and unnecessary waits are costing people their lives in Ukraine. Ukraine, Madam Deputy Speaker, not Albania, Ukraine. Is that what the Home Secretary means when she says that this is a government taking asylum seriously?
Secretary.
Well, I do dispute his version of events.
It wasn't his version of events.
With respect, since 2015, Madam Deputy Speaker, the UK has offered a place to over 380,000 men, women and children seeking safety, including those from Hong Kong, Syria, Afghanistan and Ukraine, as well as many family members of refugees.
So you're just not going to answer that question at all?
I strongly support all that the Home Secretary said in her opening statement. She spoke for the nation. in saying we
But
need
kiss
to
in
control
general
this
is the Tory
problem,
party.
and she spoke for all those caught up in these tragic events. So I hope that all men and women of goodwill will get behind her, and that the Home Office will fully support
Men and
her
women
in
of
making
goodwill
sure
can't get behind
we
her
can
because she
speed up
herself is not a
processing
goodwill, you
and in returning all
ignorant,
those
arrogant
illegal
Tory
economic
cunt.
migrants to the safe countries they came from.
Secretary.
My right honourable friend speaks a lot of sense, as always.
No,
and
he-
he's right.
oh.
The British people have had enough of an out-of-control borders system, and it's incumbent on this government, and I know for a fact that this Prime Minister takes this issue extremely seriously, and I know that he will leave no stone unturned until the problem is fixed.
Just like they're trying to wind me up on that. I know that's an exaggeration, but still.
Stella Creasy.
Thank you, Madam Deputy
She gets
Speaker.
rather passionate in
There is
Parliament.
nothing patriotic about making children suffer. But that is exactly what is happening as a direct result of this Home Secretary's failure to get to grips with processing asylum. She talks as if the hotels are somehow a better option.
Exactly.
In my constituency, there is one with 150 children in, squeezed alongside another 350 adults, 7 or 8 to a room.
Similar to what we've got going on down here. It's ridiculous.
No notice to the local authority they would be placed there. No cooking facilities. No school places for these primary school aged children.
But you try to get this across to the right wing and the Tories. Oh no, they're foreigners, they don't deserve it. Despite the fact that quite often their ancestors is not from this country. So, you know, redundant racism there.
No clothes for most of them, especially for the winter weather.
Although all racism is redundant, isn't it?
No play facilities if they are allowed out at all of these prisons. No safeguarding as far as any of us can see. If the Home Secretary is so confident that this is meeting her duty of care on behalf of this country, then will she...
She looks so nonplussed. She's just like... She sat there like... What am I going to have for dinner tonight? That's the way she looks.
Publish
cow.
the contract requirements for how children are housed in hotels and the precise details of the sorts of services they should expect and that we should be proud of as a country dealing with those fleeing asylum.
Secretary.
Well, we are currently accommodating unaccompanied asylum-seeking children in hotels, with hotels with a maximum occupancy of 353, and there is additional accommodation available.
Cognitive dissonance. I'm sorry. She keeps spouting out these numbers, but evidence from around the house, even from other Tories, is saying she's wrong. Right? Yeah? She won't accept being told that no. That she's wrong. She can't accept it. It's not in her brain that she should be the one to be told no. That she's the one that's wrong. I have a feeling what we have here is someone who is rather privileged. What a shock.
Coming on stream. But what I would just say to the Honourable Lady is this. I think it's a fallacy to suggest that we're somehow cutting corners. When I've arrived at the...
She gave you... Again, the locals will tell you what's actually going on. From what we're seeing. And the staff that are there. So, fuck you, bitch.
Home Office. I've been, frankly, very dismayed and appalled to find that we're spending, on average, £150 per person per night to accommodate
I'm
people.
quite appalled that you and Pretty Patel were trying to spend 140 million on sending a couple of people to Rwanda, which never fucking happens. So stop talking about wasting money.
In hotels. By my standard, that's quite a nice hotel. And upon my review...
Oh! She just doesn't care! She actually doesn't! The flippant nature with which the way she just said what she said. This fucking asshole cunt doesn't care! She's the Home Secretary! I thought Ugly Patel was bad! What the actual fuck? Yeah, Stella Creasy's face is like... No fucking wonder!
And closer scrutiny of how that decision-making was taking place.
You
I've been to
flippant
several
bitch!
four-star hotels around the country being procured for this purpose. For me, that's not an acceptable
You're
use
a
of
cunt.
taxpayers' money.
So wasting fuck knows how much more is worth the money, is it, cunt?
Oh, thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. Unsolicited economic migration to the UK via illegal trafficking must be stopped. We must use our limited resources to support valid asylum cases that have not come from a safe country. What steps is the Home Office taking to return illegal immigrants now to their home countries in the cases of countries...
I'm gonna have to stop here because I'm gonna get more and more wound up. Well, there we go. I watched Cross Question last night after this, and Ian Dale, a Tory, said he could not vote for the Tories with that bitch in charge. Those weren't his words, I added the bitch bit myself, but still. He said he couldn't vote for the Tories with Cruella Braverman as Home Secretary. That's what he said. And this is a notion that I've heard elsewhere as well, from other Tories. The flippant nature of her arrogance is astounding. If you think I'm unreasonable for being this angry, then what are your priorities? Like, oh. I hate her. Possibly more than Ugly Patel, Pretty Patel, whatever. I actually hate her. She is a hateful person. I was hoping to add some wisdom to this, some Dorviskra, but I can't. I can't add Dork Specky to this because I'm just so angry. It's cognitive dissonance. At the very least, we need the infrastructure to sort this out. And we need someone in the place of Home Secretary who's not a derogatory, flippant asshole cunt. I can't stand it. I'm going to give myself a fucking aneurysm, I swear. Right. I'm going to chill out now for a bit. I hope you enjoyed that. How long is she going to be staying in this place? It's just breathtaking, the fucking bullshit that comes out of her mouth. She is a hateful, inflammatory, insulting motherfucking bitch. You know, wrestling fans, you know, people get wound up by The Miz like myself. And Jericho. Like, people got annoyed by Boris Johnson. She is just hateful. She actually is. I could... Even trying to take politics out of the situation, I don't think I could have a friendly conversation with her because she's such a bitch. I'm going to let this go because, I'm going to cause myself a brain... I'm going to cause myself an aneurysm. I hope this was a bit, you know, this a little bit more in-depth into some of the meat of what was going on yesterday, instead of just little clips. Let me know what you think. What have you got to say about it? Like, subscribe, comment. This has been Shiadawita. And this has been my rant / Dorkviska, Dorkspeki. Blessed Thursday, everyone.